Well, Belly, your fifth pre-season just about complete. Expectation last year was pretty low going in, right? Everyone was a little bit excited, but
we had pretty high expectations,
internally,
right?
externally, everyone thought, geez, these Dockers, when the season started, and you were making some waves. This time around, the expectations have gone up a notch. How do you think the young group will handle that?
There is greater expectation out there, but footy doesn't work like that. Because we had 15 and a half wins in 2022 doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have more wins this year. And we certainly won't achieve that if we don't do the work and we don't apply ourselves in a really methodical way.
Do you have everything you need now? And I say that because you've gone to a few drafts, you've got high picks, you've recruited from other clubs. Luke Jackson's come in, Jager's come in, Jordan Clark, a couple other guys, Will Brodie. Are you now happy with the list structure as it is, or is there still more pieces to come?
I think it's never finished, your list profile. We're really comfortable with the character of the group that we have, but it's not finished. I don't think it's ever finished, and certainly we'll look at free agency, we'll look at trade and the draft.
There's a couple of guys I want to ask you about. I know they play for other clubs, so you can't say, yeah, we want that guy. Aaron Norton, he's a West Aussie guy, played for Peel. And then Mitch Georgiades, another West Australian guy. Are they on your radar?
We have a lot of conversations with player managers about players that we know all of the contractual status of most players in the AFL, if not all. We have an extra interest in West Australian players for very obvious reasons. Just like Victorian list managers would have an extra interest in our Victorian players on our list. The names you mention are certainly players that we look at, but I think as a club we're at a stage with the environment that we've created where there are players who are expressing interest, and sometimes that's just it, and sometimes they express interest for a whole variety of reasons, but expressing interest in potentially moving to Western Australia and playing for Fremantle. That wasn't the case a while ago, so things have changed a little bit.
Guys who left last year, I know you've moved on at this point, you brought a lot of guys in as well, and all the guys who were tipped to go, they all went. Of those guys, which of those who left is the hardest to replace, just from a pure football point of view?
It's a great question. Look, this is a personal view probably. I think losing Griffin is difficult structurally because of he played an important role for us as a forward. That versatility that he has in his game. Very, very good defender. As it turned out at times, which no doubt would have been a frustration for him. We moved him forward because Alex, Luke and Brennan were doing a really good job in that defensive seven, and we were a pretty good defensive team. That made it tough on Griff. That was what was working for us. But then he provided such a good contest as a forward, and we're generally excited about what he could do as a forward as well. Ultimately, he chose to look elsewhere.
There's been a couple of comments from Rory in the press since he left. How do you feel about that when a player's left? Do you just ignore it, or what do you do?
Look, Rory's moved on and we've moved on. On the comments around he didn't think he was coached right, I thought that the comments, not the person, the comments were a little bit misguided because he'd been in the AFL for a period of time and he's just had his career best year. And that's off the back of his work and a lot of hard work from the coaches. So I thought that those comments didn't really display a gratitude for the hard work that others had put into him. And Rory, in our structure, provided him an important role, kicking a career best tally as a key forward. We feel though that with some availability that we can cover Rory's output with the players that we have on our list.